All right. Welcome to Assets and Algorithms, the podcast where we explore the intersection of real estate and technology. Today I have Dylan Milstein with me from AgentMatch.ai, and thank you for joining me.
Hey, Derek. Thanks for having me. Pleasure to be here to talk about my favorite subject.
Absolutely. And I'm really excited to jump into this. I'd like to start with you sharing a little bit about your role and how it fits into the bigger picture.
Yeah. So my background, I've been in real estate about 10 years. I've probably held every job in real estate, unlicensed assistant, phone caller, agent, manager. I worked at Zillow helping agents convert those leads. And at Redfin, I managed a team in the LA region as well. So I've been in this world of helping online real estate customers for a while. And I have a deep understanding of kind of the good and the bad of the current options out there in the current portals and what people are looking for when they're online searching for a real estate agent. And for me, I'm specifically focused on sellers. I think sellers have the least options to get the most value. Buyers, it's a little easier for them, I think, online.
Yeah, I definitely say I agree. Sellers definitely have it a bit more difficult, and they have a bit more at risk as well, I think,
Yeah.
when it comes to putting their house on the market and making sure that they have a qualified professional to help them. With that in mind, I'd like to dive into what tech tools would you say you guys are using and implementing and providing for the market?
Yeah, so basically we have a scoring system. We're plugged into the data coming live, all the sales data, and then some other kind of unique data that we've put together as a derivative of the sales data. We comb through that. We try to find a curated way to tell people which agents they should be working with. So, for example, it's going to be different if you're selling a condo in West LA versus an equestrian property out in Temecula. And you go to a lot of these places to find an agent, and sometimes they may refer the same person for both of those properties, and it doesn't make sense to me. And there's some incentives behind it. I just really quickly, Garrick, I want to go back to something you just said at the beginning is that sellers have more at risk. I've seen estimates of between 5 and 10% loss in pricing for sellers when their listing becomes stale, meaning it's been on the market for longer than average. They're having trouble selling it. You start to get those lowball offers, you start to price reduce and chase the market down. And so it's so
Absolutely.
important, in my opinion, to find the right person. If you're working with an agent, which likely you should be, maybe unless you're an attorney and have done this many times, likely you should be, but it's so important to find the right person. And it's literally thousands of dollars that it could cost you as a seller.
Absolutely. Exactly. I think you hit the nail right on the head. That's the risk that sellers take when they're bringing their property to market, and they have to make sure that they have the right person. So I think, like you mentioned, using that data to be able to figure out which agent has these specific skills for this specific property in this specific area, because real estate is such a localized business, and it takes that granular data and those unique differences to get the right person for the job. So let me ask, are you seeing any shifts in the industry towards this, and or can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I am seeing just in general, a push towards more transparency. I know, for example, like homes.com, they're actually pretty good about showing other agents, and what they do and being kind of transparent about the deals they do and where. And one of the biggest things for me is there's not a whole lot of incentive. So, for example, what we do is we're going to tell people who the best agents are to sell their property, whether they're on our platform or not. So nobody's paying us to say this. It's really our kind of promise to customers like, hey, you come to our site, we're going to tell you who the three best people are. It's unbiased. And that is sort of the struggle out there in the marketplace of how to, because obviously companies need to make money. So what is the business model around that allows you to be transparent? For us, we're okay with people not using an agent that is on our platform. It's okay. We want you to come and get the truth. But yeah, I hope that kind of answers it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think touching on that transparency factor, I do want to congratulate you on the RESO membership and that collaboration as far as them honoring you for bringing in that transparency and that level of transparency and data for buyers and sellers to have that in their toolbox. You guys have also done a ton of interesting things with Prop Tech Buzz and being featured and highlighted with them for your commitment to bring in unbiased, data-driven agent recommendations. So that's awesome. I think that's something that may be missing because buyers and sellers often don't know how to evaluate an agent beyond, a star rating maybe on a Zillow or a Redfin. And having that extra performance data can help them tremendously. So, can you talk a little bit about how that can skyrocket or push them forward in making the right decision?
Yeah, absolutely. So, as it stands right now, people can go on Yelp and they can look up who the best real estate agent is in their area. They can go online and search top real estate agents in my area, and you're going to get a whole host of different information, none of which is based off of results, none of which is based off of merit. Well, I take that back. Yelp is based off of some sort of merit. You're going by reviews. The question is, are the reviews genuine?
Right.
Sometimes they're not. I remember working for a place I'll leave unnamed that uh, would give out like bonuses to get Yelp reviews. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and so, the question is though, at the end of the day, is there a spot to find data-driven insights? And I think
Hmm.
that's the difference is with so much information out there, I think it's almost done on purpose where it can confuse people as to what's important. And obviously, if you don't work in the industry, if you're selling a home for the first or even the fifth time, you may not know the importance of a metric like list to sale price. You may not know what the average days on market are for your specific type of property in your neighborhood, or maybe even in your building, if it's a condo. So there is so much variability. I had someone ask me, why use AI to do this? Why not just pull a stack rank of who the
Hmm.
top selling agents are? And it's like, well, the top selling agent for who? Because again, let's say you're in Beverly Hills, you could be selling a $50 million mansion, or you could be selling, maybe a $900,000 condo. And the agents who perform consistently well for those are going to be different people with different skill sets. And so to pull a stack rank, I don't think makes sense. Which that's a little bit more like homes.com. But at least I'll give them credit. At least they're showing their data. There's other sites, other big sites out there. They literally do
Hmm.
not want you to see who sells what because they're pushing certain people. So yeah, I think
Absolutely.
that's kind of the landscape. And what we're trying to do is really just unlock the power of data. But we don't want to confuse people, right? So we're not printing out a spreadsheet and sending it to them with all these different data points. We're summarizing it up and kind of giving our rationale of why we chose people and then letting them decide who.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. There is more data out there now than there has ever been, and it can definitely be difficult to sift through that and create a narrative for yourself that's helpful for you, right?
Right.
So having tools like yours is definitely going to be able to cut that decision time down, give you actionable information, and help you make a better decision so that you get those extra thousands of dollars when you're looking to sell your house. So that's
What
awesome.
it's so funny too, like just the consumer, we're talking about how, they may not know what certain things mean. And you could go on Yelp, for example, and see a review, or you get these mailers, these postcards that say, sold in 3 days,
Mhm.
for asking price. And it's like, okay, well, maybe you should have priced it higher then because the average days on market is much higher than 3 days. You probably lost your seller some money. So there's a lot of stuff that maybe the layperson isn't attuned to, and just so much marketing noise out there. It's insane.
Absolutely, I agree. Marketing is one thing to be able to push forward their narrative and whatever they have going on that they'd like to get across. But when you get down to the facts, right, and that information that really, really makes a difference to the bottom line, I think is when you're able to when you're able to see the full picture, the real picture. And with that in mind, I'd like to ask, are there any myths or common assumptions that you think buyers and sellers have about top agents that your data helps correct?
Yeah, I think you'd be surprised about sometimes who the top agents are. They're not always the people that you see on shopping carts and billboards. They're not even always the people who have sold the most homes. So for us, it's all about looking at the bottom line for clients, and we ask clients to tell us what's important to them in terms of pricing or speed or, maybe speaking a certain language. And then we do our analysis from there. But my biggest thing is, again, it's not about if I'm selling my house, I'm not necessarily looking at who sold the most homes in the zip code. I'm not necessarily looking at who has the most reviews on Google Business Account. I think it all comes down to what are my priorities, be it speed, be it most money, be it ease of showings, whatever it is, some combination of those. And then looking at the real results, which up until very recently was not available for people without a real estate license. And even,
Hmm.
there's people who do have a real estate license because they sort of work in real estate, or maybe they're an attorney who decided to get their broker license. You still have to understand all the data because again, you could see someone that sold a home way over asking. And it's like, okay, that probably means it was underpriced or certain things with the data. So you do need to be able to interpret the data. And we've given our system, our machine learning system, some good insights from years and years of real estate and, folks on my team who've worked in prop tech at Redfin for a long time. So yeah, I think
Wonderful, man. I love what you guys are bringing to the market and the mission that you have just to make the process better and cleaner and more valuable for sellers and buyers looking to transact on homes. So I'd like to pivot really quickly and ask you a little bit about the growth of your company. How has technology impacted that, and how do you see that continuing to happen in the future?
yeah, I mean, for us, without this technology, without AI agents and all the great strides that have been made with large language models, we wouldn't be able to do this at speed. This is something where, you have data and you can say, you can stack rank who sells the most, even who can get the most price per square foot. You can do all that stuff. But to make it relevant to what the customer is asking for, to really curate it with AI agents coming in and with natural language, that's what's allowed us to do that and allowed us to do it really in seconds. And so from here, I mean, there's so many different cool things we have, features on our roadmap planned out for users, not all of which I can talk about right now because they're going to hit the market this year, but there's so many tools. And our whole goal, Derek, is really to just empower the consumer, specifically the seller, to make informed choices. And I think that's something that has been lacking in real estate for a long
Mhm.
time. I mean, you go back to the days where MLS was just in a book off the internet. And what Zillow did for the consumer was amazing, putting it on to, giving it free access. Agents adjust. And this is this thing we were talking about earlier, right? Where AI and technology are not going to replace agents, in my opinion, at least. And so, really, the features we have are just all in line with making things more transparent, more valuable for home sellers specifically.
I love that. And, this technology has come to market fast and it's changed rapidly. And seeing teams like yours at Agent Match be able to adapt it and apply it in a way that really changes things and provides value is awesome. I know you don't want to release too much, but I'd love to hear a little bit about where you guys see yourselves in the next 6 to 12 months or what anything you can say about what you have coming up.
Yeah, so over the next 6 to 12 months, we're still early stage startup, but over the next 6 to 12 months, we really hope to iron out a lot of things to make our process quicker, to automate a lot of things, and again, put out some features that are going to be just really impactful for putting digestible information in the hands of consumers. And that's really the key, is making sure it's digestible for people. We started working with a accelerator in Silicon Valley called The Battery, and they specialize in AI. And so we're doing a lot of great work with them. We are going to be going through some funding rounds as well coming up. And so really we want to take this thing, get it out into the hands of every seller, because again, it's so important, Derek, like we talked about in the beginning, the very first thing you need to do as a seller is choose the right person. Because if you go on the market, your listing becomes stale, you make a mistake in the beginning, it's going to cost you. Even if
Mm.
someone comes in really good and fixes all the mistakes, everyone who's a buyer is going to see that your property's been on the market, and
Right.
they're going to take it off the price.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's such a delicate balance to have when you bring in a new property to market, and you want to make that correct decision so that you have the best outcome possible, because a lot is at risk when you're selling an asset like a house. So thank you for that. I appreciate that answer. Last question here. We talked a ton about technology and how things are going right. Could you talk to me about what's maybe been frustrating or one of the major challenges that you would be looking to solve today?
Yeah, I think one of the major challenges for my business specifically in serving customers is connecting with agents who want to help people. There are some agents, we'll give out the information, like I said, for any agent. They don't have to be on our platform, and customers can reach out to them, get in touch to sell their home. But you'd be surprised how unresponsive some agents are to potential customers. There are a lot of agents who primarily work off of referral or are very busy. And so it's a weird issue, but I would say like one of the biggest challenges is really for users to get callbacks from agents. I saw a crazy stat, that online real estate leads, forget the exact number, but it was something close, like I never even get one call from an agent.
Absolutely. I love that. I think, like we mentioned earlier, that transparency factor will go a long way in making that shift and allowing the sellers the agents to more to look at the companies like Agent Match that are bringing real value to them and take it more seriously because they know that they are getting informed sellers brought to them who are ready to go. And I appreciate that. I definitely appreciate that. It's interesting to see, um, and it'll continue to be interesting as we move along. So I appreciate you having this conversation with me. I'd love for you to just take the time and tell the audience where they can find you if they want to reach out to you, and any last words you have. Thank you as well, Dylan, and I look forward to continuing to watch the growth of Agent Match.